What is going on tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in here. Miss J, how we doing? How we doing on this Saturday night? Good to see you as always. Missed you last night. We had a fun night last night on YouTube and TikTok for a little bit. SmackDown was pretty good last night. I don't know if you caught it at all, but it was actually a pretty good show. One of the better shows. Adrian, what's up? How we doing? Oh, okay. Hope you're having a great time there, Miss J. Welcome in, guys. Be sure to hit that like button when you come on in. Also, please, if you would, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Everyone counts. Everything helps out the channel. You guys know that. Figured I'd hop on here for a little bit, talk a little bit. WrestleMania 41, still coming off the heels of last night's SmackDown, which was collectively really good. We got AEW Dynasty tomorrow night in Philadelphia. Very good 10 match card. So figured I'd hop on here and talk a little bit about both. Nas, what's up? How we doing, my friend? What's up? Thank you, Adrian. I try, my friend. I try. Guys, be sure to hit that like button. Thank you again for subscribing. Appreciate the compliment on the hats. Yeah, I didn't expect to go live either, Nas. I actually got in a little earlier than I thought I would tonight. So I figured I'd hop on here, talk a little bit about WrestleMania 41, less than 2 weeks away, and AEW Dynasty for those that are interested. That looks like a pretty good show tomorrow night. So, oh, that's awesome, Miss J. Glad you're making the most of your time there. Awesome. Glad you're having a great time in Florida. Adrian says, although I've only seen the other WCW one, but both appreciate that. Yeah, I got a almost an even amount of WWE and WCW hats over the years. I think the only ones you guys have not seen collectively yet is my orange SummerSlam hat that I'll bring out this summer, July or August. I have a SummerSlam 1989 hat I have not worn yet. I think that may have been the only hat I haven't worn. Yeah, I think the Bash at the Beach I wore once or twice. So, yeah, I got a couple over there, man. All right, Nas, that's awesome, man. Good. Glad to see you guys. Welcome in, guys. Tonight we're talking Road to WrestleMania 41. Also, going to talk a little bit about AEW Dynasty, looking to put on a good card tomorrow night in Philadelphia. But mainly coming off the heels of last night's SmackDown, guys. Again, be sure, pro wrestling fans, hit that subscribe button, all right? We're going to be on here a lot, more than usual, the next 2 weeks. Road to WrestleMania 41. Things are finally picking up a little bit here and there, so again, be sure to hit that subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss any of the content, whether it's daily uploads, whether it is obviously hopping on here live, as I try to do as often as possible. You know, Mondays and Fridays, I'm on here after Raw and SmackDown, and I hop on here periodically, like now, talking a little Road to WrestleMania and Dynasty in a minute. Yeah, things definitely got very interesting there on SmackDown last night, Miss J. Mainly what's going to happen going forward with Paul Heyman. You know, not just if he's going to come down the aisle with Punk or not at Mania, but who's he going to leave with when all is said and done? Is he going to leave with Seth, which a lot of us think he will? I think so. So, again, guys, great having you here on a late night Saturday night. Yeah, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte was pretty out there last night. And honestly, man, I don't know. I think at this point, nothing is going to save that feud as far as the proper build week to week. The only thing that may help it is if they put on a good match at WrestleMania. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It was a wild scene for sure. Some of the stuff they even cut out towards the end of that on WWE's YouTube. They didn't even actually upload the whole bit. So yeah, the 0-3, right? Yeah, the Ludwig response was crazy. Guys, so, we have 9 matches, I think, scheduled, right, for WrestleMania 41. We have Reigns versus Punk versus Rollins. We have Cody versus Cena. We got Tiffany versus Charlotte. Obviously, you guys are talking about that. Gunther, Jey Uso, Io, Bianca, Rhea. I can assume they're going to add Rhea any day now. AJ Styles, Logan Paul, right? We got that. LA Knight, Jacob Fatu. Liv and Raquel versus whoever wins that gauntlet next Friday. And then we got Jade and Naomi. That's going to be a good one as well. Yeah, that was some back and forth for sure with Charlotte and Tiffany. I don't know what they're going to do over the next 2 weeks. I would definitely amp up security because something tells me that those two are absolutely going to go off on one another. There's clearly don't look like best friends behind the scenes for sure. So again, the card's getting good, man. We got a couple matches in the works as well. Um, we're gonna get Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, right? That's for certain. What else will we be getting? Will they book Lyra and Chelsea on the show, the IC and the US title? I don't know. Um, so that remains to be seen. I'm curious what's going to happen there. How are they going to book the IC title? Will it be Penta versus Breaker? Will it be the four-way Penta, Breaker, Finn, and Dom? I think that's more likely. Um, I'm trying to think of what else they could potentially put on this show, or what else is in the works. Feel free to drop it in the chat if it comes to mind. I thought the favor could have been bigger, but yeah, yeah. Well, I thought it was gonna, involve, CM Punk in some kind of a title capacity. Adrian, I agree with you. I agree, but I think I know it's gonna be a good show when all is said and done. Again, the build is kind of, it has its moments, but I think when the show is, again, as I said last night, when Monday morning comes, April 21st, I think all of us will wake up and say, you know what, it was a pretty good WrestleMania. It might not have been one of the better builds in recent memory, but I think when all is said and done, we're gonna get a good show. Heyman told Punk 10 years ago that he wouldn't be in anyone else's corner, right? Yeah, Heyman told him, even 10 years, a little over 10 years. He said, you know, be by his side at Mania, and that'd be interesting if Punk was able to get some kind of gold on him before year's end in some sense. And again, though, how long will Heyman be with Punk? Will it literally just be coming down the aisle that night, living true to his word and his promise? Will he leave with Punk? Will he leave with Seth Rollins, which a lot of us feel like that's more of a likely scenario. And as I said last night, I don't think it was by mistake. It was some foreshadowing when Seth pulled up to the arena and Heyman thought it was Roman. He thought it was Roman. Said, "My tribal chief." And then Seth came out of the car. And it was almost like a prelude to what I think we're going to see in a couple of weeks when Seth actually, I'm sorry, when Heyman purposely aligns himself with one Seth Rollins and seemingly shocks the world. Heyman's no longer with Roman after 5 years. He's not full-time back invested with Punk as a lot of us thought he would be. Maybe came down the aisle with him. Doesn't mean he's leaving with him. And now we may be getting Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. And somebody brought up a point last night that said, Seth doesn't need a mouthpiece. Punk never really needed a mouthpiece either, but it doesn't hurt to get somebody like Heyman in your corner. Seth could tone down his promos, let his actions do the talking, let Heyman pull the necessary strings for him, to get Seth where he feels like he needs to be in this company, going into the later stages of his career. So I'm all aboard for it. I'm all aboard for it. You also think that's a tease as well, Adrian? Yeah, I think there's something there. I think that whether we like it or not, I do think that there is something there with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. I think it's too easy for Punk and Heyman to just remain together. And as cool as it is that we're having this callback with Heyman and Punk, having them come out together is one thing. They did it. They checked that box for WrestleMania, and so be it. But Heyman staying with Punk going forward doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's no fun if they're both babyface. Not that Punk can't go full blown heel at this stage of his career, but Punk going full heel doesn't really intrigue me at this point. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Punk could have a very strong heelish promo without being a heel, right? So Heyman and Punk on a full time basis is just not needed. So, coming out of this feud, I wonder where they pivot, and it's very interesting because Heyman could make the rounds with everybody. Leaves Roman one night with Punk, sounds weird, and then ends up leaving with Seth, right? How about that? How about that? Seth already had the natural heel laugh. Yeah. When he was getting a kick out of Punk and Roman Roman losing his mind last night with the whole Heyman situation, that whole caveat, Seth was on the side like, man, you haven't seen nothing yet. Type of deal, type of vibe. That's how it came off to me. Tease was him just sitting back, pulling strings. Correct. Yeah. The puppeteer, the puppet master. Puppet master. Absolutely. I agree. So that's how I feel about that Roman Punk Rollins segment last night. I think the match is going to be fantastic regardless who wins. I'm still going to lean in and say I think Seth wins. Regardless if Heyman joins his side or not. And I love Roman Reigns. If you know me, I'm a big Roman guy. But I think he's the least likely to win this match. If it's not Seth, I wouldn't mind Punk winning this. I really wouldn't. His first WrestleMania, excuse me, his first WrestleMania in 12 years, right? First WrestleMania, it was supposed to be last year. He got injured. Um, but first WrestleMania since WrestleMania 29 here in Jersey, going up against The Undertaker. So, with who by his side? None other than Paul Heyman. Remember when Paul Heyman dressed up as Paul Bearer? You remember that? So that was definitely a time. All right, so we talked Reigns, Punk, Cena. I'm sorry, we're going to go to Cena. We talked Reigns, Punk, Rollins. We're going to go to Cody Rhodes and John Cena right now. Cody Rhodes, John Cena for the Undisputed WWE Championship taking place in just a little over 2 weeks' time, man. April 20th. And this is a hard one for me to gauge. It really is. I think Cody's going to retain. I do. And I think he goes up against Randy Orton at Backlash in Randy Orton's hometown of St. Louis, Missouri. But I'm just as intrigued if Cena does win. And then I think regardless who wins this match, whether it be Cody Rhodes or John Cena, I think they go up against Randy Orton as the number one contender in St. Louis, his hometown. Why not? I know a lot of people are intrigued about the possibility of a heel Cena versus a face Orton. You know, for many years it was the opposite. And many are intrigued if we get Cody and Randy Orton. As Randy Orton said last week on SmackDown, you know, after you get past Cena at Mania, hopefully, Cody, I'll be coming for you in that title. So what better place than to do it in his hometown, St. Louis, Missouri, May 10th at Backlash. So Nas says, or I'm sorry, Adrian says Ellsworth came back to cost Cena the match. That's a wild take. I don't know why people are mad that Favor wasn't a tank. It's not like Paul Heyman is some type of general manager. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, Nas. I get it. I get it. I think a lot of us just assumed Heyman was going to pull some kind of string with all his tenure there in a title capacity. I didn't think that was a foregone conclusion, but I would not have been surprised if he was able to finagle Punk into some type of a title match. Now, whether that was something surprising like Gunther and Jay and not necessarily Cena and Cody, but either way, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think we're in for a good one. I think we're in for a good one. So, look, we're going to Cody Rhodes, John Cena right now. Again, for those that are in the chat, who do you think's going to win this, Cody or Cena? Which four-letter C word do you got, Cody or Cena? I'm going to lean towards Cody. Again, you know, I don't really have any stock in this. It doesn't matter to me really who wins, but I'd prefer to see Cody probably go over Cena. I do think Cena gets it done. I think he gets 17 at some point this year. Will it be while he's a heel? Will it be when he goes babyface again later this summer or into the fall? I don't know, but again, who do you guys have in that match? You got Cody Rhodes or John Cena with the win, and yeah, I'm curious to see what transpires. I think it should be a pretty good match. You know, I know the last time Cena wrestled at Mania, it wasn't all that great. Not only did he not win, but him and Austin Theory, what'd they do? They opened up night 2 of WrestleMania 39, something like that. Um, yeah, it wasn't that great of a match, to be honest. Let's see here. Adrian says, I like Orton versus Cody too, but question for me is, would it be face versus face? Well, you look at it like this, Adrian. You know, I guess you could say that. I mean, the thing about Randy Orton is, even when he's a face, is he really a face? Because even if he doesn't go full-blown heel, I mean, last night he hit Nick Aldis with his second RKO within a year's time or so. So, you know, is Orton ever truly a face? So I get it though. It's a good question. Cody, babyface Cody versus a forever tweener Randy Orton in his hometown. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Cody wins. Cody versus Randy. Randy wins. Cena versus Orton. That's a very interesting proposal there, Miss J. I like that. I'm not opposed to that. You know, Cody beating Cena. Then you have Randy beating Cody, which I have no problem with. Randy getting to number 15. And then Cena versus Orton, where Cena beats Orton. They each have their, respective passing of the torch in some semblance, you know. Randy, the teacher, beats Cody of Legacy callback, gets number 15. And then, you think Cena may beat him. Interesting. Now, if and when does Cody get that title back at some point? I'm curious. Nas says Brock and Omos was a good match. Brock and Omos. We were yeah, I'm trying to think. Last year, who were we supposed to get? Well, it was proposed we were supposed to get Brock and Gunther, right? Wasn't that a proposed match we thought? Now to see who beats Cena. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious, because I think a lot of us, at least me, I'm not gonna speak for the general group, but I think John Cena is gonna win number 17 at some point this year. It's mainly against who does he beat, and then who takes it off Cena when the time comes. I think WWE announcing Cena's appearing on 2 or 3 post Mania Raws was to shake up the odds. Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, well, we'll see. That's why the matches happen. That's why Cena should retire as champion. Don't need to put anyone else over. Yeah, I'm good with that, Nas. I don't, I'm okay with Cena going out on top. I really am. I'm more than all right with that happening. So we talked Roman, Punk, Rollins. We talked Cody and Cena. Why don't we talk about what was a very hot topic last night? Still is today. By the way, happy 39th birthday, Charlotte Flair today. Um, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Boy, was that a disaster? What went from a completely scripted segment, as most are on WWE television, turned into a real life encounter, turned into a shoot, as they call it, right? Went from a work to a shoot. And these two were going at it, man. Here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, Tiffany got Charlotte. All right. You could say that. She got Charlotte in a lot of respects, and I do understand that. What I'm trying to understand is, as a pro wrestling fan, going into WrestleMania, one of the 2 women's title matches on this card, why should I care anymore from these week to week segments? Um, just because Tiffany had a couple of personal attacks on Charlotte. And look, Charlotte is no angel either. There's been many ways she's been trying to undermine Tiffany over the past couple of weeks. Um, these two don't get along. I'm assuming that they don't have phone calls after episodes of SmackDown and join up for brunch. But I don't know, man. I can't say I'm a little disappointed. When you talk about disappointed about the build to Mania, this is one of the feuds I'm disappointed, in collectively over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Let's hope the match delivers. And for weeks, I've been saying I hope Tiffany retains, and I still, do hope Tiffany retains. To be honest with you, but my stance on that isn't as strong as it once was. I don't care. I really don't care because neither one of these women have given me a reason to be invested into this feud. Just because they're throwing a couple daggers at one another, some cheap shots, if you will, does not make it good TV. If you think last night's segment was good, like actual good TV, it was horrible. Now there was a couple of good one-liners back and forth, but how did this help build the feud? Yeah, they have disdain for each other. I get that. I understand that. But it was just the way they went about it. It just seemed very unorganized, a hot mess. So make of it what you will. I'm disappointed in this Tiffany Charlotte feud. Um, I don't know. Speaking of feuds that are actually picking up, which a lot of people criticized over the past month and a half, definitely picked up this past Monday when Gunther beat the living hell out of Jimmy Uso. Gunther and Jey Uso has definitely picked up significantly because of that angle. And I don't know. I think more than ever, I was going with Jey Uso during most of um, this lead up to Mania. But I'm more than ever, I'm going with Jey Uso to dethrone Gunther. I'm not saying it's a must, but I do think the likelihood and the probability has definitely skyrocketed since Gunther did what he did to Jimmy Uso last Monday on Raw. So that's my take on that. Let's see. Chris, what's going on? How we doing tonight? See Cena leaving as a face, getting rid of The Rock. That'd be nice. A super match WWE put on at WrestleMania. Hey, I'll be on. Hey, what's up there, Rachel? I may hop on TikTok. We will see. This is all last minute, as it usually is on a weekend, but we will see. Hope all is well with you, though, there, Rachel. Thank you for stopping in. But again, don't get me wrong. My eyes will be glued to the TV when Tiffany and Charlotte have their match, and I hope they have a great match, regardless who comes out with the victory. But this build has just not been it. It's been a mess, talking over one another, just disrespecting one another. I have no problem with people going back and forth at one another. Don't get me wrong. It's just the way it's been done. It's been kind of lame. It's been kind of weak. I think Charlotte's done a terrible job leading this feud as the veteran. And Tiffany on the mic, yeah, she's throwing some personal jabs. Don't get me wrong. But Tiffany definitely looks like a rookie on the main roster out there. She really does, and just not very well at transitioning to a babyface. So, uh, Tiffany's a natural heel. You can see that, and I haven't been sold on the fact that Tiffany's capable of cutting a good babyface promo. Um, Again, a lot of people got cheap pops off of last night's. Don't get me wrong; it was entertaining to a point. But all the personal jabs, people were like, "Oh my God, Tiffany destroyed Charlotte." Did she though? She said a couple personal things about her real life divorces and all that stuff, which, I don't think necessarily makes for a great WrestleMania build. This isn't an episode of Monday Night Raw we're talking about, folks. This is the show of shows annually that we all looked forward to over the last 40 plus years. And if that's the best you got, it's not good enough. So Charlotte and Tiffany need to step it up. They got 2 weeks. Charlotte needs to lead like the queen she claims to be. Again, happy birthday today, Charlotte. And she needs to lead the rookie in Tiffany, who's been on the roster over a year. She's gotten a lot done. Entered 2 Rumbles, Elimination Chamber, won Money in the Bank, became champion beginning of January. Good for Tiffany. I've been all about Tiffy time since she showed me she can really go against Becky Lynch in the fall of 2023 on NXT. But I gotta say, I am disappointed with the two of them. So I'm not gonna waste any more time on this. Again, Jey Uso and Gunther, I'm looking forward to as well. I think Jey, or more so even than that match, I do think Jay's gonna dethrone Gunther when all is said and done. I think Charlotte vs. Tiffany worth put at WrestleMania. I'll probably be on the last one. Okay, Rachel, got you. All right, no problem. So let's move on to a women's match that's actually been a little more intriguing to say the least, a little confusing at the same time because look, I love Rhea Ripley, but I probably would not have added her to this match. I don't think it's been made official, but I can only assume they're going to add Rhea and make it a triple threat, right? So we got Io Sky defending her Women's World Championship against Bianca Belair. I think it's going to be a great match, whether Rhea's added or not. And here's the thing: would I love Bianca Belair to go 5-0 at WrestleMania? Absolutely. She's fantastic. She's left WrestleMania 37, 38, and 39 with the title, and 40, the big three last year. Two of whom are now feuding at Mania. Naomi and Jade was made official last night. But, Bianca and them, they beat Damage Control last year. So she's going to have her fourth title match in the last 5 years at Mania. That's massive. So there's part of me that definitely wants Bianca Belair to win this match and remain undefeated at Mania 5-0. But that said, Io Sky just getting, this world title not even a month ago. Her reign last year was okay. She lost to Bayley at Mania last year in Philly. I was there for that one. And I'd like to see Io retain, in all sincerity. Now, look, if Rhea Ripley was walking into Mania against Bianca, I'd be all for Bianca dethroning Rhea. I really would. Plus, Rhea retained last year at Mania. What's the big deal? She beat Becky last year. And even though Rhea just won this title back in January, that 3.5 month title reign ain't terrible, And losing to Bianca, who would then still be undefeated at Mania, ain't the worst thing in the world either. So, but since it's not one-on-one, Rhea Bianca, and it's Bianca Io with the possibility of Rhea being added, regardless, I'd like to see Io get the win here. I would. I'd like to see Io retain and really show us what she's capable of because her title reign last year was subpar at best, and I know Io is way more capable of being an outstanding champion and getting a definitive victory at Mania of all shows against Bianca and potentially Rhea Ripley as well. Well, that's massive. That's a massive situation there. And then next up, this match has the potential to surprise a lot of people. Although I don't know why it would surprise anybody that AJ Styles and Logan Paul would be able to put on a classic, an instant classic. So there's not much to say here other than I think Styles and Logan Paul are going to put on a great match. Um, and that's that. I think it's going to deliver. It's going to be one of the non-title matches that is going to be great. So, and honestly, it hasn't been made official yet either. Say what you want about Damian Priest, but I also think Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, another non-title feud, non-title match set to be put on this Mania card as early as, or as late, shall I say, as next Friday when they have a face-to-face on SmackDown, Priest and McIntyre. I think that's going to be a great match as well. Now, I get it. A lot of people are frustrated that, Drew McIntyre is not involved in some kind of a title match or a bigger main event scene. And look, I get that. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there is story here with him and Priest dating back to last WrestleMania when Priest cashed in on McIntyre successfully to become world champion, in Philadelphia. So I'm here for it. I do think McIntyre probably gets the win. But at the same time, I do think McIntyre and Priest will be a lot of fun to watch as well. In conjunction with Paul and Styles will be good too. Now here we go. We got Jacob Fatu. He punched his spot last night in a last man standing match against Braun Strowman. So we got Jacob Fatu going up against LA Knight for the United States Championship at WrestleMania 41. Now look, Jacob Fatu on paper should easily win this one, but not so fast. I think Solo Sikoa gets involved, interrupts, whether he meant to or not. That's besides the point. Solo Sikoa is going to interrupt. Jacob Fatu is going to then get his opportunity, basically, dropped and left in the hands of LA Knight, probably hitting him with a BFT for the win. Or something silly might happen where maybe he doesn't get a BFT victory and maybe it's a count out. Maybe it's just something bizarre. I would hate to see that at WrestleMania, but look forward to seeing this. And I know a lot of you want to see Jacob Fatu U.S. champion, and I get that. Me too. But what we will see coming out of WrestleMania 41, which a lot of us were hoping this match was on this card, but I do think we get this match immediately at Backlash, May 10th. This will then spiral immediately into Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. So that's where I think we're headed with that one. And after this, I just got two women's potential matches here to talk about, and that's pretty much it. Can't wait for Drew Damian. Me too, Chris. I feel like we may be in the minority with that one. A lot of people aren't really, again, for a couple reasons. A lot of people think that Drew should be in a bigger type of match at Mania, and I understand that. But Drew Damian, there's story there, which that's enough for me to care. And I also think it's going to be a good wrestling match. I think I know they're both going to bring it. So that said, let's move on. So, there's not really too much to talk about here until next Friday. Liv Morgan and Raquel will be defending their tag titles at Mania, seemingly against the winners of the Gauntlet match next week. Now, that is Alba Fire and Piper Niven. That is Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. That's Kaden and Katana. That is Bayley and Lyra, right? That is Mishin and B-Fab. And then last but certainly not least, Natalya and Maxine Dupree. Now, just sheerly based off process elimination, there's 2 heel teams and 4 faces. Being that heels hold the titles, I'm going to jump right to the faces here. I'm going to eliminate Natalya and Maxine. And then I'm going to eliminate Kaden and Katana. So that leaves 2 realistic teams that are left here, right? We got 2 teams we're looking at that could be in this match. And that's either Mishin and B-Fab or Lyra and Bayley, who have a match on Raw Monday for Lyra's IC title, ironically enough. And later in the week, regardless who wins that, whether it's Ann Still or Ann New, this Friday, or next Friday rather, we'll have a match where Bayley and Lyra team up in this gauntlet. So, again, I think it's got to be Bayley and Lyra or Mishin and B-Fab, but please feel free to drop it in the comments. Who do you think is going to win that women's tag team match next Friday, that gauntlet match, those 6 teams, to face Liv and Raquel at Mania? So I'd love to see what you guys think. You can see Shayna and Zoe winning. Okay. So you think we got a heel versus heel type of match at Mania? Interesting. I don't see it. I want to be opposed to that for Shayna, because she's a 3-time tag champion, once with Ronda, twice with Nia. But I don't see that happening. Just because, based off of logic, they haven't been on TV really since Sonya got released. It's been a month and a half, almost 2 months already. Pure Fusion Collective, so they've been collecting nothing but dust. So I don't see that happening. But hey, we'll see. So now, last but certainly not least, right before the midnight hour here, guys, I'm going to talk about Jade Cargill and Naomi briefly. And that is 9 of the 9 matches that are officially scheduled for WrestleMania 41. We know, as I said last night, we're probably either going to get a total of 14 matches or 16. So for Saturday and Sunday, either break it up 7 and 7 or 8 and 8. So we'll see what happens. We're either 5 matches away or 7 matches potentially away from wrapping up this Mania card. And we're less than 2 weeks away. This time, 2 weeks from now, on the 19th, we'll already be pretty much wrapped up with night 1 of WrestleMania, believe it or not, which is crazy to think about. Kind of flies by once the Rumble hits, man. So we got Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Now I got to say, man, out of all the women's feuds going on this Mania card, and there's some good wrestlers in this women's division that are on this card, but personally, I think story-wise, Jade and Naomi has been taking the cake. You could say, because Jade's been coming back incredibly fierce since the Chamber, pissed off about what happened right before Thanksgiving, getting thrown onto the hood of a car who she assumes was Naomi. Naomi's heel turn has been fantastic these past 3 or 4 weeks, whether it's in person, her promo with Bianca initially, her attitude, her demeanor, the video packages, her ring gear. I'm loving this whole caution theme Naomi. It's great. So in short, this is the only women's match that's scheduled at this very moment that is a non-title match So kudos to these women, Naomi and Jade, getting on the card without even having to defend a title. So that means something. That means something. And so, personally, I'm hoping Naomi wins, but obviously, I could see them putting Jade Cargill over, being that she's coming back as the returning babyface who was attacked ever so viciously and a rising star that they're trying to push. But we all know Naomi's been through this time and time again, where she's been overshadowed and underutilized, and so she's fed up. She's fed up. So I don't look, if Naomi was to squeak out a victory over Jade Cargill, I don't think anybody would be in an uproar unless you're a diehard Jade Cargill fan, because we all know Naomi not just deserves this, but has earned this opportunity as well. And that's, again, those are the 9 matches that are scheduled for WrestleMania 41 at this moment in time, guys. AEW Dynasty, that is Sunday night. I'm not going to go through that thoroughly, but if there's a match you want to talk about, feel free to bring it up. A lot of people want to see Swerve beat Moxley tomorrow night for the world title, me included. It's time for a change there. Hope and Tony Storm defend successfully against Megan Bayne. I mean, Megan Bayne's been there for a cup of coffee. She's already thrusted into the main title picture. What's that about? A couple really good matches on the card, though. Omega, Ricochet, Mike Bailey should be great. Claudio Pack and Wheeler versus Copeland, Edge, and FTR. That should be great. Garcia versus Adam Cole. I do think Adam Cole becomes the new TNT champion. Get a mystery match with Randy, says Chris. Okay. Let's see here. Nas says Naomi should win the first match. Yeah, so if her and Jade have a series of matches, which I would assume they at least have 2 or 3, right, they'll probably follow it up at Backlash. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Have Naomi win the first one. Listen, let Naomi get a winner, at least one win in, and Jade can win the whole war, right? So when all is said and done, it's going to be more than one match. It's going to be more than one match. You say, okay, very cool, very cool. Look, I'm not opposed to that. Naomi getting a win, I ain't opposed to that at all. On Mania, I'm trying to think. Naomi's gotten at least 3 WrestleMania wins, right? WrestleMania 33. Where she won back in Orlando, her hometown, her SmackDown Women's Championship. WrestleMania 34, she won the inaugural Women's Battle Royale. Remember, it's supposed to be the whole Fabulous Moolah Battle Royale. And then last year at Mania, Naomi won as well. Oh, didn't she even win at Mania in 38 with Sasha? Yeah, at least Naomi gets the WrestleMania win. Yeah, that'd be great, Nas. Ospreay have a match. Yeah, Chris, we're going to talk about... Will Ospreay goes up against Kevin Knight in the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament, which he will beat Kevin Knight, the newest signing from New Japan. That should be a good match nonetheless, though. Okay, so Naomi has at least 4 wins at Mania. That's significant. That's significant. Let's see, but I can see them giving Naomi a win at Backlash. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we know she's going to win one of them, right? So at least I would assume so. They may give Jade the big win at Mania to really, present her, because that's it. And then on a lesser pay-per-view, they may, give Naomi that win because it's not on as big of a stage, right? And they're trying to make, Jade's trying to get that Marvel deal as Storm. She's been trying to do that since the AEW days, as you see, with the lightning bolt and everything. So, and the silver hair. But we'll see. Honestly, I'm happy for these women. I'm happy for Jade. I'm happy for Naomi. And I just hope, A, that they put on a good match, and B, if it is a series of matches, I'm certainly here for it, and I'm excited for both of them. So, back to tomorrow night, an AEW Dynasty. Kyle Fletcher goes up against Mark Briscoe. They have a lot of Owen Hart Cup tournament quarterfinal matches on this card, which, don't get me wrong, some of these matches are going to be very good. I also consider it to be incredibly lazy when they pretty much had a 7-match card, 2 on the pre-show, and they say, you know what, we'll put 3 quarterfinal tournament matches on this show as well. Like, bro, it's a pay-per-view. You want me to pay $50 and you're putting 3 quarterfinals matches on here? And here's the thing. It's not to say that they won't be bad. I'm sure they'll be great. Fletcher, Briscoe, Ospreay, Kevin Knight, Mercedes Moné, Julia Hart. I'm sure it's going to be good, but just to put it as a tournament quarterfinal, and it's not even like a tournament final, I mean, and you want me to pay extra when you could do this on any episode of Dynamite or Collision, is a bit of a head-scratcher. Now, I get it. You want Mercedes and Ospreay and Fletcher to be on a pay-per-view because those 3 will likely be the ones to get the win, but what are we really doing here? And that said, though, there are some good matches on tomorrow night's AEW Dynasty card. Let's see here. That's 4 more wins than Asuka. Yeah, like I said, Naomi has 4 wins at Mania. Has Asuka not had a single win at Mania yet? That's crazy. That's crazy. I thought she had at least one. That's ridiculous, man. So Asuka has not a single win. So her Mania debut was WrestleMania 34, where Charlotte defeated her and broke her streak. And wow, it's been downhill ever since, huh? That's a terrible thing. It took Sasha a long time to get a WrestleMania win as well. Yeah, well, 38, right? With Naomi, the tag titles, right? Took her a minute. Took her a minute. Much longer than the rest of the gang, right? I mean, Charlotte, she had her first WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, right? Uh, when she, won that triple threat with Sasha and Becky when it converted from the Divas Championship and it turned into the Women's Championship. And yeah, she had moments almost every year at that point. 34 when she beat Asuka. 35 obviously was big time Beck's moment. But even Bailey at 33, didn't she retain her Raw Women's Championship there? So yeah, man, the rest of the four horsewomen had their moments way before Sasha Banks. Asuka's 0-5 at Mania. That's a damn shame. Disgraceful. Now, look, I'm not saying she has to have a perfect record. I'm not even saying Asuka has to have a winning record at Mania. But to not even give this woman one win at Mania is ludicrous. Again, I'd have to look at all the matches and see who was against and, try to justify it or not. I mean, last year she was part of the 6-woman match, right? We know she lost that. We know she lost to Rhea Ripley at 37. She lost to Bianca at 39. She lost to Charlotte at 34. So there's 4 matches there. And if you want to care, if you care to elaborate what match number 5 may have been, let me know. But that's a shame. That's a shame. Chris goes on to say if WWE does this, Jacob wins the title from LA Knight from help from Solo, and Jacob just stand in the ring. I like Solo versus Jacob. All right. I mean, hey, Chris, I would hope that it would go that smooth for Jacob, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's only going to lean into the tensions of him and Solo, and so that it's going to spin off into Jacob and Solo at Backlash, because the bottom line is this. Jacob and Solo absolutely does not need a title. If it had one, would it be nice? Yeah, sure it would. Every feud gets amped up a little bit if you have a title, but Jacob and Solo don't need a title for their feud. And believe me, Solo's going to end up costing Jacob that U.S. title at Mania, and that's going to spin off into the two going back and forth with one another May 10th. I mean, prior to that, but definitely having a match May 10th in St. Louis, Missouri at Backlash. Nas says she should have beat Rhea, Charlotte, and maybe even Bianca. Yeah, I hear you, Nas, and I'm going to be honest with you, man. I know she should have definitely beat Charlotte at WrestleMania 34. Let me just put that out there right now. I would have had her beat Rhea at 37 too in Tampa. That was now here's the thing. That was Rhea's second Mania. I get it. Rhea lost her NXT title the year previous to Charlotte, right? We're talking Rhea Charlotte here. In the Thunderdome bit. So look, I get it. You don't want to start Rhea Ripley off 0-2 at Mania. See, they had no problem doing that to Asuka. But I thought Asuka was going to win WrestleMania 37, even if it meant Rhea losing back-to-back Manias. And like you said, Bianca at 39, believe it or not. And I usually always almost go with Bianca, not just by being a fan of her, but I usually just have faith in the EST getting the job done, especially in the title capacity. And I do want to say at WrestleMania 39, I think I did have Asuka beating Bianca. So when Bianca won, I was shocked. A lot of good points. A lot of good points there. But hey, yeah, that's right. Sami, she should have won. Yeah. Yeah, they gotta do better with Asuka, man. I mean, I know she's getting up there in age. She still looks great, quite literally, and in the ring, but you think they would have treated her a little better. And years from now, or even now, if you like, you could go to Asuka's Wikipedia page and look at her list of accolades outside of WWE or even within WWE. And within WWE, it's very impressive. But if you go back to the title reigns that Asuka had, not necessarily talking about her NXT title reigns, but when you talk about her tag title reigns or even the multiple championships she won Money in the Bank as well, I believe, there's nothing that truly stood out to me as far as any of Asuka's main card title reigns or title runs. It's unfortunate because we knew the monster she was in NXT. And during the Vince McMahon era, you saw a lot of men and women lost their luster when they went from NXT to the main roster. At least Asuka had a fighting chance. A lot of people don't even have a fighting chance. They get the rug swept from beneath them, like Keith Lee, like Karrion Kross, and like so many others that still really haven't recovered, you know, whether they're with the company or not. She probably should have won the other three as well. Just fair enough. Like when she won Money in the Bank inside was tied up because yeah, I remember that, Chris. Yeah, then she exchanged with Becky the title for the Money in the Bank briefcase. I remember that. Yeah, and it was bittersweet. It kind of bothered me though, and it wasn't because I didn't like Asuka. I loved Asuka, still do. But that just goes to show, you know, that Shayna Baszler should have beat Becky at WrestleMania 36. Becky was trying to, after holding the title for a year since WrestleMania 35, big time Bex here in Jersey, right? First women's main event ever at Mania, that triple threat with Charlotte and Ronda. You know, Becky was advocating to put Shayna Baszler over, who had just came to the main roster a month or two previous, and Shayna should have beat Becky and continued her momentum from NXT. Talking about Asuka being an absolute beast in NXT. Well, how about Shayna Baszler? She's a two-time champion down there, right? Had an amazing run as champion. And on the main card in singles, they haven't done a damn thing with her. That was the last probably significant match she had. And I thought in 2022 they were even going to right their wrongs. I thought when Shayna Baszler went up against Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's title, Clash at the Castle, Cardiff, Wales, I remember I said, I think Shayna's going to do it. Shayna didn't do it again. But a month later, they put the title back on Ronda at Extreme Rules. October 8th, 2022. I remember because that's when Bray Wyatt returned to Philadelphia. So I don't get it, man. I don't get it. She should have won that as well. Yeah. Look, not saying I'm always right. I'm certainly not always right, but I like to say I make a hell of a lot of good cases and good points for some of these men and women that really had great opportunities to thrive and succeed. And be an even bigger household name. Because again, you're going to look at Asuka's stats and accomplishments over the years and be like, damn, she had a great career. But if you really watched it like me or a lot of you guys have and watched Asuka's main roster run from the fall of 2017 until now, it's been all right. Yeah, she has a list of accomplishments and titles, but it's been all right. There's no one title reign that stuck out more than the other. Again, not including obviously her NXT title reigns, where she ended up vacating the title. I remember, what was it, Ember Moon, who ended up winning it after that, Athena, in AEW over there. But hey, what do we know, right? We're just fans, so they claim. Anyway, guys, this has been a great 45 minutes. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button. All right, hit that thumbs up button. I'm gonna get out of here in a few. But again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. More importantly, hit the subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well. So for whenever I come on here for live or for daily content, whatnot, when I get back to doing daily shorts and long form videos, you'll be some of the first to be able to check it out and chime in the comments section. Baszler should have title. Yeah, I don't know if Baszler should have a title right now at this very moment in time. To be honest with you, I think you'd be hard pressed to have a case for Shayna to be holding a singles title in WWE that isn't the U.S. title or the IC title. If we're talking the IC title or the U.S. title for Shayna Baszler, yeah, sure, we might have a case there. But in reality, her as a world champion right now just ain't it. If we're talking, like I said, if we're talking 2020 or we're talking later parts of 2022, the two times I remember her having a title opportunity against the Becky Lynch for the Raw title, against the Liv Morgan for the SmackDown title, then yeah, but that ship has sailed. It's run its course. That's like saying Shinsuke should be a world champion right now. No, he shouldn't. They missed out on that in 2018 with AJ. They even could have did it a couple years after that. And so, unfortunately, it looks like Shayna Baszler and Shinsuke Nakamura are never going to be able to call themselves WWE Women's, World Champion, Men's World Champion. It's unfortunate. It really is, because, we could go back many years and say what ifs and who should have did this, but Shayna and Shinsuke, they were both right there. And they weren't able to capitalize on that momentum. And I think that's unfortunate. You heard Shayna may get released. Well, but can't say we're really surprised there, right, Chris? Are they doing anything with them other than putting them in a gauntlet match this Friday, which we know they're probably not going to win? I know you said they might. Sure, that'd be cool. If Zoe and Shayna won, I'd be happy for them as the individuals to get on that Mania card. I'd be happy for Zoe and Shayna, the individuals. But as far as from a booking standpoint, a level of excitement standpoint, that'd be a terrible decision to have them win. What momentum do they have? You know, they got rid of their leader in Sonya Deville. So what sense would that make? So anyway, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Again, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like. About to get on out of here. And last but certainly not least, please hit that subscribe button. Heard Nakamura will get released as well. This is Chris. Yeah, well, I had read that Nakamura is just not looking to re-sign. You know, whether he just rides off into the sunset, maybe finishes his career in the land of the rising sun, that being Japan. You know, I could see Nakamura heading back there. And why not? You know, why not? You know, well, it was almost like a going away gift, right? Where Triple H said, hey, here's one more U.S. title run. Go ahead and be champ for 3 months. And sorry we couldn't put the world title on you. My father-in-law, Vince, screwed up in New Orleans. It's not the only time he screwed up in New Orleans, because 4 years previous, he screwed up by having the Taker lose his streak to Brock Lesnar. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is. Again, we talk about all these people that had phenomenal NXT runs, right? The Shaynas, the Asukas, the Shinsuke Nakamura's. So many had amazing NXT runs. And very seldomly did that translate to the main roster. You know what I'm saying? Just because, and look, just because you were a world champion or an NXT champion for the men's or women's on NXT does not necessarily mean you need to be a main event, a main card champion on Raw or SmackDown. I'm not saying that either. But you also should be utilizing said talent to the best of your ability. And I think a lot of the times, you know, Vince was not, well, I know he wasn't pushing a lot of these men and women from NXT the way they should have been on the main roster. And if they were getting booked, a lot of them were either being jobbed out or in nonsensical storylines. So that's unfortunate. Hey, what's up there, Rachel? Great having you back in here. I'm wrapping up here in a few minutes. May head over to TikTok for a little bit, although I am getting sleepy. It's been an amazing almost 50 minutes with you guys. But again, if you haven't already, guys, hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe. Again, hopefully everybody's having a great weekend out there. If you're not already subscribed to me on here on YouTube, you could also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, right? X and Facebook at Turnbuckle, TOPIX. You know what? Where's this being allowed for my first night? Oh, that's awesome, Rach. Congrats. Go do your thing, girl. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear all went well tonight. I can name a lot of wrestlers Vince and not push. Yeah, Chris, I know. The list goes on for days, for sure. And we're just talking recent, within the last 5 to 7. That, and here's the thing: we're not even talking about, you know, we're discussing Shinsuke and Shayna, and even to a point we were talking Asuka, who's achieved a lot on the main roster, but still could have done more with. I mean, we're talking about people that were, you know, in the limelight a lot of the times, and were almost at the precipice of winning the title at Manias, like Shinsuke at 34. Asuka should have won it at 34 as well. At least she won it later on. Shinsuke never got that win after 34. Shayna Baszler could have won it at 36 against Becky. Like I said, Becky was trying to put Shayna over, but the company wasn't having it. They said, no, we're not going to put the Raw Women's Championship on Shayna. Thank you anyway. Long story short, what was it? A couple months, if that, weeks later, Becky announces she's pregnant, and she ends up having to vacate the title anyway. So that was a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity not having Shayna Baszler win that title from Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 36. And it was in the Thunderdome. Why not? You know what I mean? Why not? It's not like you're in front of all these fans. So what's it to you? Really? I mean, by that point, Becky had already held that Raw Women's Championship for a year, you know, that she won when she became Becky Two Belts at WrestleMania 35. So I don't really understand that. So Shinsuke's 0-3 at Mania, you're saying there, Miss J? Yeah, it's a shame. He should have beat AJ at 34, but we know that. We know that. All right, guys, look, this has been a lot of fun these last 50 minutes. Again, I am out of here. May hop on TikTok for a little bit. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky. Sure, why not? Battle of the Irishman. I was hoping to see that at Mania, Chris. But anyway, guys, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. I'm out of here. Thank you for a great 50 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Talking Road to WrestleMania 41 in less than 2 weeks. AEW Dynasty tomorrow night in Philadelphia, looking to be good as well. So thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. The others of you, hopefully I'll see you on TikTok in a little bit. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for joining me.